What up, watch peeps? I love when this happens. Sometimes you see a watch in pictures and you're like, oh, that's interesting. But then you get it in your hand and you're like, oh my God, this is freaking awesome. And then you put it on wrist and you're like, I did not see this coming, but ooh, yeah, I'm with this. Well, I got one of those today, so let's check it out. I'm Pete and we are chilling with watches. Wrist check. I'm wearing the Merkur Rainbow. Man, this watch is just so much fun. I've had it on for like 3 days now. It is running great. The case is fantastic. It's just a lot of fun. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's actually quite comfortable. The bracelet's pretty sweet. One of the least bothersome butterflies I've ever had. But we're here to check out the SOVRYGN today, and this is a super cool watch. I knew I liked this thing as soon as I opened the box and saw this sweet Louis Vuitton inspired little travel case. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And it is a really nice case here. It's all suede inside, and check out the colors on that bad boy. So what colors are these available in? We have this blue here, and there's also a white dial variant. Both of those are available in stainless steel like you see here, as well as a gold PVD case. Now there's also a burgundy dial that is available in gold and PVD black cases. I think I got that right. I'm going off just what I saw on their website. I don't know if all colors are going to be available in all the cases. But what do we have here? We have a 39mm triple calendar. Yes. Now these things are going to be launching on Kickstarter on May 15th with a starting price of about $515 US. When I first saw pictures of this watch, I actually thought it was a chronograph, but no, it is a triple calendar. Now, you guys know I'm a big fan of no-date watches, and if you had asked me my opinion on a triple calendar, I might have said, it's not really my jam, but this watch has made me reconsider that, and I actually really enjoy the complications on this watch. So let's take a look at what we have here. So at 12 o'clock, we have a power reserve, and I love the way it just looks like it belongs there, the way it's butted up against the 11 and 1 o'clock hour markers. Over at 9 o'clock, you have a day subdial. At 3 o'clock, you have a month subdial, which is adjusted using this 2 o'clock pusher here. And at 6 o'clock, you have a 24-hour subdial. Now, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of 24-hour subdials, but they are actually quite useful on a triple calendar watch, as it is important to know whether the hands are in AM or PM when you're setting the day and date. The color palette they chose to use here is just sick. These two blues just work together, and orange and blue, of course, always goes well together. We also have a ton of different textures going on here. You'll see there's kind of a sand grit to the main part of the dial. Then you have these concentric rings inside these subdials, and then you'll have these shinier parts like on the power reserve and around the outside of the 24-hour subdial. And then around the outside of the entire dial, we have this kind of slanted chapter ring with orange markings, just all very cool. Now the date at 4:30, it's a color matched date wheel, but you'll see the text is now on this prototype is in white. Kind of hard to read. I've been assured that for the production models, that text is going to be changed to be done in the dark blue of the subdials, so it'll be much more legible. We have a very slightly domed sapphire crystal, and this is actually how I love my sapphires, very slightly domed, and it is double domed. As you can see, visibility at oblique angles there is really nicely done. The bezel, it is a fixed bezel, and you'll see on the vertical and the horizontal it is brushed and then polished on the angle. The case is one of the things that really endears me to this watch. I mean, everyone loves an octagon, right? And this thing is all angles. Now, if you look, these case sides are actually flat and parallel to one another, and a exact 39 millimeters apart. Great sizing, but the construction on this thing is what is absolutely nuts. If you look here, let's see if I can get the light right, where the lugs meet the case, you can see that is not one piece. So these lugs are actually a separate piece from this mid case. And I'll put up an exploded view of the construction here so you can see what's going on. But I just think that is really unique and super cool. I know in the past they've used different materials for the lugs and the mid case, and I have been told that that might come back. There is basically no curved surfaces on this watch other than these little points here, if you can see where the mid case kind of slopes down to the sides of the case. Other than that, it is all flat geometry, just super cool. And you know, even this engraving on the side I think is well done. I love the font they use there. It just looks pretty cool. The crown at 3 o'clock, it's only 5 millimeters on this prototype, but it is going to be updated to a 7 millimeter crown on the production models. Taking a look at the caseback, we have a really nice display caseback showing off that Miyota 9100 triple calendar movement. It is actually quite well decorated. I think it is definitely a pretty enough movement to look at, especially with that signed rotor. From this view, you can also see that the end links are solid and they are female and they are also quick release, which more and more brands are doing, and I am here for it. I think it is super convenient, especially if you're not going to do drilled lugs. I love the quick release. I also love the way these end links are integrated into the case on the top side. Just everything matches up really nicely. Now, I love this bracelet. I just think it is super cool looking. You kind of have these brushed H's with kind of polished, those octagons in between. It looks great. It starts at 20, tapers down to 16, and the clasp on this thing is one of my absolute favorites. I love the way that logo S just kind of nestles into that top. I just think that's super well done. It's kind of like a black enamel there. Very cool. Now, one thing about this style of bracelet is that there is not a ton of flex to it, but I have been told that the flex will be adjusted in the production model so that it can wear truer to size. Man, I love that clasp. Almost forgot, this comes with a leather strap with a deployant buckle as well. I wanted to show it to you guys because the deployant is really cool. You'll see the kind of milled out scissor mechanism there and the way it holds the strap. And it's just got a really great buckle on it too. Again, signed. Actually, really nice leather strap and deployant buckle. Also comes with a normal tang if you do not like this style of buckle that you can substitute in its place. All right, let's throw some wines on this bad boy and toss it on the Timegrapher and see how it's running. You know, one other thing I do love about a power reserve, and I didn't think I liked power reserve, so it goes to show you that I know nothing. You know, they have their place, and it is pretty cool here. I love winding it and watching that power reserve go up so we can know actually what kind of charge we have on this thing when we throw it on the Timegrapher. So let's get that bad boy up to 100 and see what's going on. So this Miyota 9100 seems to be settling in at about plus 8 seconds per day. That is perfectly great accuracy, plus 7 seconds a day. For me, again, this is a prototype. I'm not sure if this has been regulated or not, but it is running as if it has. There is literally 0 beat error, which means getting exact same swing in either direction, running very nice and clean with an amplitude of 244. I am not familiar with this movement, and I don't know if that is typical for this movement or not, but it definitely is not anything wrong with it. Talking dimensions, we have a 39 millimeter case that comes in at 47 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. It is, well, in this prototype, it is 13.3 millimeters thick as I measured it, but I've been told the production models are going to be cut down to 12.6 millimeters thick. Has 20 millimeter lug width. Going over some of the other specs, we're looking at a very slightly double-domed sapphire crystal. And I believe this is using BGW9. It has a nice soft blue glow that we will check out in just a bit. It's running the Miyota 9100 triple calendar movement, and it has 100 meters of water resistance. And on this bracelet, size for my 7¼ inch wrist, it came in at 158 grams. Here's how it wears on my 7¼ inch wrist. 39 millimeters is just smooth like butter. It does sit rather tall with those angular flat case sides, but you can see that sharp turn down to those lugs really hugs the shape of the wrist. Very contoured shape to it for being all angles. I actually really love the way this thing wears, so let's take a look at it side by side, some other watches. Here it is next to the slightly smaller Seiko Solar at 38.5 millimeters. And man, you can really see here what a small dial opening and a rotating bezel does for the size comparisons. This is only 0.5 millimeter smaller, but it looks a lot smaller than the SOVRYGN in this picture. And being quartz, it is super thin. Moving up a little bit to the 40 or 40.5. So again, a millimeter, millimeter and a half, depending whether you measure the case or the bezel. I think these are a little closer comparison. These actually wear quite similarly. The small dial opening on Seikos always makes them look a little smaller than they actually are. That thin mid case is going to make it look a little thinner too, but I don't think it's actually much thinner than this will be in production. Lastly, the SKX at 42.5 millimeters. Now you can start to see that this thing is looking a little bigger than the 39 millimeter SOVRYGN. Thickness on the SKX is actually quite comparable to what we have here in this prototype. All right, lastly, let's check out that Lume.
Keep the Lume.
And here you can check out that soft blue glow of the BGW9. You know, this is a thoroughly modern design on this watch, and I think the use of BGW9 is quite appropriate here. Looks very nice, very legible. You have those kind of smaller pips at 3, 6, and 9 for orientation. Well done. So there you go, the SOVRYGN calendar. There is just something indescribably cool about this watch. Colors are in, and this blue does not disappoint. Although personally, I'd probably go for that maroon in the gold PVD case. Fire. All right, I'll put a link to their site in the description so you guys can go check them out. Before I let you go, sneaker check. I busted out the Anderson Paak Vans because it's gonna be like 75 degrees today. Don't wear these much during the winter, but summer is here. All right, that's it, I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.